Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build NBA edition. I'm Kevin Roberts, joined with Taylor Smith, getting ready to break down this big DraftKings main slate. Lots to talk about, lots to consider also, even though some things have already dropped and other things are unknown. It's trade season, so guys could be moved. That could complicate things. Obviously, that already happened earlier today with Chris Middleton and Kuz swapping teams. So that opens up value for the Bucks and the Wizards. So just keep that in mind. We're shooting this at 2:11 Central. Things can and will change in the next 4 hours prior to lock. Anyways, our goal is to help you win. If we do anything that helps you out in this video, smash that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. Both those things help us out a lot. Even while you're watching this, ask yourself, why are you not subscribed? If you watch this video and you take our advice, please throw us a bone and help us out there. Also, you can come join our Discord, which is currently free, and you can come in there and talk shop with everybody else and get access to updated advice, and our core plays for DraftKings leading into lock. We also hand out FanDuel core plays and DraftKings Night Slate core plays. Those are for a small fee over at Patreon if you want access to those. All right, let's get into it. We break down the slate going position by position, highlighting our favorite plays. Up top is Tyrese Maxey, no Joel Embiid. He went off yesterday in a limited 36 minutes, and he's not going to play tonight. Paul George is also doubtful, so Maxey could be an absolute smash here at 10K. Right below him is Cade Cunningham at 10.5K. Personally, I don't have a ton of interest in these guys, but I guess the popular build is going to include Jokic and probably a value center, so maybe I should. I don't know. What is your gut here?
Yeah, I'm kind of more in the mid-range. Lint flew out of my mouth. I think some of the expensive ones are okay. Like, I want to be getting to Maxey. I'm just not really as of now. He's been phenomenal. They're on a back-to-back, though. Miami also being on a back-to-back, I guess, makes them a bit of a better matchup. But looks like I'm just kind of allocating salary elsewhere. I think Trae Young at the high end is pretty interesting against San Antonio. I think actually, yeah, I'm around like 5% Maxey, so not like a full fade right now, but getting to other point guards more. I think the mid-range is pretty stacked. De'Aaron Fox is an interesting one at 8K. It's his team debut for San Antonio, so no real telling how that's going to look, but 8K is a pretty good price for him. Atlanta's a pretty good matchup as well. So I think you can have a dusting of him in tournaments, but otherwise I'm kind of going down to the Jamal Murray, CJ McCollum, Jordan Poole, Josh Giddey kind of range tonight.
Yeah, I think if you are going to pay up, I think Anthony Edwards is going to be my favorite play there. I would rather just use him at shooting guard, though, because there is value, like you said, at point guard. Specifically for me, it's going to be Jordan Poole. Started the day with him as a core play after I think even before the Kuz news, but I really liked his price and projection, but now he just looks awesome. Like you said, CJ, I mean, yeah, last time out in the same matchup, CJ was fine, 30 real points, but it was a Trey Murphy night, his second straight 40-point effort. I certainly could see McCollum being the one that goes off here, and maybe if Zion can handle, playing in Colorado, then maybe he could also be a GPP play too. But McCollum looks good here. Jamal Murray also leverage on Jokic ownership if you want to do that. Those guys all look good. I still like Hero, but like you said, back to back. I just like on a huge slate with so many good plays. If you have a good reason to not play a guy, just don't play the guy. But if we spend all the way up, I think Edwards is my favorite play going up against the Bulls. You can't ask for a better matchup than that. And then $200 more Maxey with no Embiid or Paul George. That's pretty inviting, especially since he's not going to be owned at all. So I don't mind Maxey. Really, I do not want to play Cade against the Cavs, even though they might be a little bit depleted. And I'm not super into Trae because he's shown a remarkably low floor. But honestly, Poole is probably where I'm starting off point guard. Speaking to that, how do you feel about Poole? And are there any other like low mid-range guys or values at point guard that you're really into?
As of now, Poole is my highest owned point guard, which feels awful. He's like the DeAndre Ayton of point guard shooting guards, but without Kuz, it's the Nets. That's on a back-to-back, pretty good, decent enough matchup, I guess. Brooklyn's been a little bit better of late, but the usage should be there for him. The game should be competitive. Like, the Wizards rarely play competitive games, but if there's ever a spot where they're going to actually be in a game, this in theory should be it. So I'm okay with it. A few other guys at the high end I think are somewhat interesting are Curry against Utah. Like, he's been horrible, but Utah is a great spot. Golden State has a decent total and he's 8-3, so I think it's fine. And then Scotty Barnes, without Quickly, without Barrett, without Pirtle, is going to just have the ball in his hands a ton, playing Memphis, which is a super fast, like the fastest paced team in the NBA. So Toronto's like a 10-point underdog, but I still think they can put points on the board in the spot. Toronto's also been better lately overall. So Scotty at 9-3, point guard, small forward, I think is a really strong play.
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't look like he's going to be that owned either. Yeah, not at all. So I think for tournaments, Scotty Barnes is really appealing. I am worried about that line and the fact that he's basically out there by himself. No Pirtle, no RJ, no Quickly. Like that's a lot of usage, exiting the starting lineup, but it's also just good players not in the starting lineup now too. So if he's got to do it all by himself against, yes, a fast pace, but also pretty good defensive team when they want to be, it's a little bit scary. I'm more interested in the Raptors' value just because it's lower risk in a really good game environment. But also down here, there are like lower values that just are going to get overlooked because it's a massive slate and people are either going to punt or go all the way up. I think, Mike Conley's okay against the Bulls at 4.9K. Stephon Castle, even with the Aaron Fox in there, 5.3. Ty Jerome or is Karis LeVert only shooting guard eligible? Oh, no, there he is. Yeah, so 4K Karis LeVert, Ty Jerome, if Donovan Mitchell's out. These guys are all going to be on my radar. It's just, oh, man, KJ Simpson if Micic is out. It's gross. It's gross out there. I think right now, I don't want to lock myself into something, but if I have an early flag plant, it is Jordan Poole at the point at 6.5K.
Yeah, kind of like Keontae George a little bit with Sexton out. Markkanen is questionable. George gets a pretty big boost with Sexton out of the lineup. So I think I like Clarkson more if you're paying for one of these Utah guards, but George is okay enough also, I think.
Yeah, I like that. Especially they're pretty short-handed. Lowry also might miss this game, so definitely keep an eye on who starts for Utah. How do you feel about the Cavs situation in the event Spida is out? Are you more into LeVert at 4K or do you like Jerome?
I guess it kind of depends on how the lineup looks. I think both would be fine. They've both been, they've both shown ceiling. Jerome more so as kind of a sixth-man gunner type. Garland's going to handle the ball a lot with the starters. So if LeVert's playing with the starters, like I wouldn't expect a ton out of him necessarily, like in terms of ceiling, but he's so cheap that it's viable either way. So kind of hard to differentiate between the two until we see a lineup, but both would be in play.
Yeah, 100%. Also, Bane is out, so Kennard should start again. He was not good in a spot start with no Bane last time out, but he's only 4.3K. I think he is a viable value for sure, assuming he starts again. And either way, Scottie Pippen, 4.2K. Doesn't project really well, doesn't project for a lot of minutes, but if Kennard's going to struggle again, you could certainly play the angle where Pippen eats up a little bit more minutes like he has done the last two games, and he could end up being a good play against the Raptors. There are some punts we can look at here. Not very, not punts that feel great, but they're due to injuries. If Micic is out, I think you can look at guys like KJ Simpson and even at 3K flat Isaiah Wong, and you can even look at Javon Carter for the Bulls with Lonzo Ball not going to play tonight. It feels gross, but he should get minutes. Like they have no Levine. Lonzo's not going to play. They are going to be shorthanded. They have other guys like Terry and THT that aren't playing. So I don't know. I mean, I don't care. I don't mind it on a massive slate where you probably want to go get 2 or 3 studs anyways. It's in play, I think.
Yeah, I feel like Javon Carter is quite a reach. Like it's going to require some more injury news or trades for me to get to him. Like unless he starts random, like they've been starting 4 guards, so it's like totally possible they do that. I just wouldn't expect it. So if Javon Carter's off the bench, I feel like that's a bit too deep for me.
He's actually carrying ownership. That is super surprising. Yeah, I agree. Like as far as like a stable play, no, for sure. Wong and Carter, they are risky plays, 100%. And then, like, if it gets clearer, then they aren't as exciting, like in GPPs, because then they become like almost core plays if they were thrust in the starting lineup at that price, right? So I just think they're fun guys to look at in GPPs. Is Dame still? No, you said Dame and Giannis are probable, so never mind. All right, are there any other values at point guard that you like, or should we move on?
We shall move on.
All right, over to shooting guard we go. Obviously, I mentioned Anthony Edwards. He is the best projecting play here. There's also Trey Murphy, who is considerably cheaper and projects just as well. I once again love Trey Murphy. His price has not budged. He's been absolutely on fire. The Nuggets are a very good matchup, apparently. I mean, they keep giving up threes. He scored 40 points against them last time. He is liable to do it again. Love him here. If you don't want to spend it for Ant or you just can't afford him, this is a good place to settle in. Jamal Murray, not that far behind him. So I like Jamal Murray at that price, kind of for Trey Murphy. Just feel like at this point, he's got a better ceiling and he's not going to be as owned. So much more appealing to me. You mentioned CJ McCollum. I'm on board with that. I don't have a problem with him at all. Not super into anybody else up there. I think I'd start going down and looking at maybe somebody like Jordan Clarkson now that Colin Sexton's not going to play. And then we can obviously look at Christian Brown with Russell Westbrook out. I'll stop there just so you can touch on the studs up top, and then you can dive into the values you like.
Yeah, Murphy feels like a chase. Like he scored 40 plus real points, I think, in back-to-back games, but no Ingram, no Herb Jones, no DeJounte. Like there's a lot of usage to go around, even with Zion in the lineup. So and Zion's still limited, of course. So CJ and Murphy are still going to get quite a bit of usage themselves. Murphy guard forward eligible 8,100. You can argue he's still maybe a little too cheap for the role. I'm concerned that they just played each other the other night, so maybe Denver has a different plan of attack for him tonight after he torched them the other day. But as of now, I think he looks like a really strong play again in the 8K range with that role.
Well, he's been good anyways, even outside of that game. Look at his game log. He's been crushing it. It does I don't think it's a chase. I think if you are demanding 40 real points again, that's, probably not going to happen, but he's been really good. I don't mind going to him at all.
Yeah. Well, I feel like game log watching is kind of chasing, isn't it? So I think he's
not if it's over a 15 game span of wrecking. He's been on fire.
It's the role he has without Ingram,
right.
Herb, and DeJounte. So good play either way. I agree about Clarkson. I agree about Brown, Christian Brown in the mid range. There's kind of a lot here at shooting guard. I think Jacoby Walter as a punt, guard forward, 3-2, played a role, started last night. Only got 20. He hit 29 minutes, so he should top 30 or play around 30. I would think again tonight with Quickly and RJ still out. Or Quickly and RJ out. Quickly played last night. RJ did not. So Walter's not a fun play, not a good per minute guy, but 3-2 guard forward. Like I said, fast-paced matchup against Memphis. I think he's a really strong punt on the slate. And same with Grady Dick at 4-2. I think he's fun again.
Yeah. I didn't going into the slate. I didn't think that was going to be the case. And then those Raptors guys were ruled out. And I'm like, okay, fine. 3.2. Also, by the way, underrated thing there is the fact that he's forward eligible. I like that we don't have to use him at shooting guard either. But yeah, Dick feels safer, I guess, but he's $1,000 more in probably just as volatile. Like Dick can certainly go out there and do a whole lot of nothing, and he's liable to miss the entire fourth quarter, even in a close game. The Raptors I don't know what they're doing with him. But both are in play for sure. Dick is a little bit safer, but Walter is, I really like him as a punt today for sure. I don't mind the Wizards, beyond Jordan Poole. With no Kuz there, Koulibaly looks pretty good at 5.5. Don't mind him at all. Not a priority, but he looks good if you want to get there. Nick Smith has been on fire again last two games. I think at 5K, especially if Mičić is out, a little bit more usage and playmaking there. I think he's okay. Not somebody I want to get to. I'd rather go with the Raptors guys than these people. There's Keon Johnson too. I don't know. Is Ben Simmons back?
I think so.
Okay, so if Ben Simmons is back, I'm a little bit less interested in the Nets. But hey, any Nets I think are in play just because they have a good matchup here with the Wizards. I already mentioned Castle. Not as into him with Fox making his debut, but I think he's still in play. You could always play Terry Rozier roulette. I don't want to do that. He's not chalky today, though, so he has that going for him.
We nailed that yesterday.
We sure did. That was good. That was a good fade. We would have been absolutely buried if we played Rozier. He was very chalky and very, very bad. Julian Strawther is a pretty interesting punt at 3.9K. Another guy that he doesn't have forward eligibility. That's annoying. But I think it's still a shooting guard only, especially if you don't want to eat the Raptors chalk there. You can consider him because he's going to get a few extra minutes with no Peyton Watson, no Russell Westbrook, and possibly no Aaron Gordon as well.
Yeah, he's fine. Not my favorite punt. I think one guy we kind of glossed over who's pricey for who he is, but still a good play is Kelly Oubre. 6,800. The minutes are insane. He's played at least 40 and 3 in a row, at least 37 in like each of his last 6 or 7 games. More rebounding upside without Embiid. And Paul George, we think, again tonight. So, and they just made a trade. They've been making trades. They could make more trades. They could just be super thin. Like the Miami matchup is not great, but no Jimmy Butler, so not that bad either. Pushing 7K at low ownership, I think Oubre is pretty interesting if you want to get different.
Yeah, I mean, if you just want a guy who's going to play a crap ton of minutes, Oubre is definitely good. I don't like the elevated price tag. I think if you're going to go and pay that much, you might as well just keep going and get like somebody just a little bit more stable like Murray, or go up and get Trey Murphy or something. But he's a fine play. Not carrying any ownership either. And the Heat matchup is not as daunting as it would be if Jimmy was there. All right, over to small forward we go. Scotty Barnes, as you said before, he leads the way. I think I would just rather go to Trey Murphy for $1,000 cheaper. Kelly Oubre, he doesn't usually have small forward eligibility. That's nice that he has that here too. So he looks good again. Any of those guys you want to pay up for Barnes, that's fine too. Not seeing a whole else that I like beyond that. Jaden McDaniels faces the Bulls, so he has that going for him, but 6.5K feels a little steep. He's still been doing it. He's been getting it done. I think I'd rather start at like MPJ or Christian Brown. That's probably where I'd start here at small forward if I'm looking to pay. Or I just keep going down because Jacoby Walter is small forward eligible, which I really like on this slate.
Yeah, I'm with you. MPJ's price came way back up because he's been kind of perking back up lately, but same matchup. He crushed in the other night. He's still a good play with Aaron Gordon questionable, especially. I think Gordon
that's
chasey.
That feels chasey.
I mean, he's usually like a 6 to 7K guy, so now he's just kind of back in his usual price range. He's slumping for a while. I think I agree with the Koulibaly call we talked about at the last position. I think it's interesting that DeAndre Hunter looks like he's getting ownership. He's been starting with Bogdanovich and Johnson out, but he scored 20 points in the last game and didn't record any other stats. He had 22 fantasy points. So, like, even if he's crushing in the scoring department, he might not get you anything else. And if the shots aren't falling, he will not get you anything else. So if he's chalk, this is kind of the Terry Rozier fate of the day for me, I think. I'm not really interested in a chalky DeAndre Hunter at 5,700.
How does a 6'7" player get no rebounds? I don't understand that.
Perimeter, man.
Even so, how do you not luck into a rebound? Zaire Williams with if D'Lo misses, I think he's okay at 4.9. Not a priority, but again, facing the Wizards, I always am going to like that. Ozora Thompson, if he starts, don't love the matchup with the Pistons or the Cavs rather, but we know he can be a really good per minute guy. Max Strus, if Spider's out, I think he's okay at 4.7. Don't mind that at all. Not seeing anything else majorly appealing here. I guess with all the injuries or the trades and stuff too, Kispert at 4.2K is an okay wizard that we could look at. We could also keep looking at Keyshawn George. Don't really want to do that. I think like if I'm going to play the Wizards, it's going to be their main guys just because they're going to get a bunch of usage. And if the game stays close, which I think it will, then they'll play off.
Is not even going to be owned, it looks like. So I think he's a really strong play. 5-5.
Yeah, I'm not like advocating to just stack Wizards and Nets tonight by any means, but I think you can pick one or two Wizards. I mean, you could, but I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm going to do that or that people should do that. I'm just saying individually, Koulibaly, Poole, JV, and is he small forward eligible or power forward? Oh, he is. Champagny. Champagny is the guy I really want to talk about. 3.2K. He looks awesome if he can start. If he starts the game, I like him quite a bit. And I think he's shaping up as like my favorite pure punt of the slate. But we just need to know that he's actually going to be like out there playing, you know?
Yeah, we may not know until 7 Eastern, so it's kind of tough unless we get that at that time.
I think it's possible we get it because it's only a half hour, after the first game's lock. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I would not be that worried to kind of just plan for it, and then if you find out he doesn't start, then just don't load up on the first two games. I think that's something we kind of say usually. Just don't load up on the first two games completely, so you have a little bit of flexibility, particularly when like the Hawks or the Bucks game could be a total thrashing. So like, why do you want to go target the Bucks like at a higher level? I don't know. But anyways, there are other guys here. I just don't think they are like really in amazing spots. Like you could talk about like Devin Vassell or something, but the addition of De'Aaron Fox
Yeah.
makes him a lot less appealing. Is there anybody else in the mid range or a punt at small forward that you like?
I'm okay with Uwoma at 4K if you want to get a piece of the Brooklyn side of that game. He's been playing pretty well. The minutes are pretty secure.
This guy?
But yeah, not a priority at all. He's okay though.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they're shorthanded and it's the Wizards, I mean, I think that's an okay call.
Johnson is back, so it's not the greatest thing in the world. So
yeah, there's that. I'm just trying to make sure we're not skipping over anybody. Like Champagne is not projecting for anything right now. Just keep an eye. If he starts, I think that will definitely change, and I will like him at 3.2. All right, Giannis leads the way. He is probable, so he should come in and destroy the Hornets. I feel like we've been in a Giannis versus Hornets situation many a time, and it never works out. Whether it be blowout or whatever the case may be, he should be able to feast and dominate this matchup. So in theory, he is a very good leverage play on what should be a chalky Jokic. I do not have a problem with that whatsoever, especially since there's actually a lot of good mid-range and value plays at center. So a popular build right now is going Jokic with a value center like Kelly Olynyk that we'll get to in a little bit. So playing Giannis instead of Jokic might be an interesting way to kind of combat that. Regardless, he looks amazing. And then up top, you do have Jaren Jackson Jr., who looks really, really good. Feels like a better value than Miles Bridges, who in theory would be a good play if that game stayed close.
Yeah, I think Jackson's awesome. 8,300 again, no Bane. They have other injury news we're waiting on, so they could be even more shorthanded. Even with Ja in, I think Jackson's an awesome play.
Yeah.
Bam, not going to be as owned as he was last night against Chicago. They're playing Philly without Embiid, so it's a pretty good spot for him as well. 8K power forward eligibility is pretty useful. I think he's decent if you're looking for a differentiator. I much prefer Jackson if I'm shopping in the 8K range, but
100%.
Zion is down to 8,400. So if you're not concerned about Zion at elevation narrative, I think that's not the worst idea in the world. It's hard to have a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay. Giannis, I'm not really getting to, like, off an injury, playing Charlotte and the likely blowout first game of the night. I understand why you would always play him. He'll be in my player pool. I just can't imagine I'm going to be getting a lot of him at all today.
Yeah, I'm like Team Jokic again tonight, basically, just because there's a lot of value and it's easy to get to him, and it's pretty easy to formulate a lineup that you feel like you're not going to throw up when looking at it. So I think I'm fine with doing that. But I'm just saying you can do Giannis because he does project well. It is a great spot, and he is cheaper than Jokic. If you want to get a little bit different, he's not projecting for any ownership, so that is certainly interesting. I agree, though. The spend up here is JJJ, and for me, it's not really that close. I think like Bam is okay, like for sure. Zion, GPP for life, like definitely. I don't have a problem with that. But I'm either going JJJ or I'm dropping down to Naz Reid, who I love tonight against the Bulls. Everybody's going to be looking at Rudy and Ant, and rightfully so. They look great. I do like Ant a lot, as I said before. Don't really want to pay a premium for Rudy Gobert. I know he's been really good, but he's 6.8K. I don't want to do that. And I don't want to pay 6.5K for Jaden McDaniels, but Naz Reid at 6.3K when he played 40 minutes in his last game. Yeah, sign me up for that. I don't really care if he's chalky. I love him at that price. So that's where I'll stop there for you. Just give your thoughts on Naz and anybody else in that same range that you might like.
Yeah, Naz is also my favorite. They just really don't have any, like, they run a pretty tight rotation. They don't really have anyone else to want to play. So even, without Randall, he's just going to essentially step into a massive role. He got hurt the game before that, which sucked, but we saw, or maybe 2 games, but we saw what he can do last time. I think John Collins is always interesting to me. 6,700 against Golden State. He's been very good per minute all season. They've been kind of tanking, so he's been in and out of the lineup, but not going to be super owned, I wouldn't think, with Naz looking probably more popular in that range. I think he's a pretty excellent play. Jovic again at 5.2 is fine, like as a last piece. I think Yabusele you can get to with Embiid out again. Going to start at center, of course. Other than that, I'm kind of punting with Buzelis at 4K for Chicago. They traded Levine, so it's kind of a vote of confidence in Buzelis, and maybe they want to get some of these younger guys more run. Made all 10 of his shots last night. Not expecting that again. Tonight against Minnesota as well, but still 4K for a decent per minute guy. I don't mind.
I mean, the law of probability demands that Buzelis hits no shots tonight after doing that. But I'm with you. I love Buzelis at 4K, right there with Champagne as like a really nice low price forward. I mean, like I said, we'll wait. The projections need to catch up to my anticipation and excitement on Champagne. Buzelis is a way better play as things stand, 100%. I like John Collins too. I do need Lowry to be out probably for me to get really excited. Then he would see quite a bit of a spike. He also would catch steam, as you like to say. He'd probably get some ownership. Good price, solid projection, really good per minute guy. The only issue is, like you said, like this whole tanking thing with the Jazz. I really don't love playing Jazz veterans anymore. I got burned by Sexton a few weeks ago. That wasn't very fun. So I just don't know what they're going to do. And obviously the Warriors defensively, not always the most comfortable matchup either. So I think he's good play, dollar for dollar, 6.7K for him there. I do like it. I think I would just prefer Nas if I was picking between them. And then down low, like you said, Buzelis, he looks really good. I think if Aaron Gordon plays, he's okay at 4.9K. His price came up because he's facing the Pelicans. So he didn't play them last time. And if he's going to start and play 30-plus minutes, I think we can continue trying Aaron Gordon. I don't have a problem with that, really. And Philly, like you said, they could keep moving pieces around. We could have a Council or Justin Edwards night upon us. I don't think they're the worst values as things stand, and obviously things could end up looking a little bit better for them. I think that's it for power forward. Over to center we go. Jokic leads away with a 70-point projection, which is just not something you see very often. So it's coming at 20% ownership. I'm going to go ahead and take the over on that one, sir. He's going to be very chalky, especially in single entries. I don't really give a crap. He's almost 13K, but he's worth it. I know he's definitely had some like weird floor games lately. He had like a 34-point game, a 40-point game, and then a couple like where he's just hovering around 50. It is what it is. Like everybody can fail, but Jokic can succeed in like the best way possible. So I'm just going to get Jokic in my lineup. There's too much value to not do it. The real question is going to be, how do you get different? And or are you also trying to get Wemby and Giannis and these other guys in there, or are you going to get more balance? So why don't you speak to your interest in Jokic and maybe just in general how you want to approach playing him tonight with when it comes to like your build?
Yeah, I mean, he's easily the top play on the slate. New Orleans just offers no rim resistance. It's an excellent spot for him tonight. Every night is an awesome spot for him, essentially. But even at 12.8, like I'm getting to him a lot just because we do have this punt value. I think the chalky build tonight is going to be Jokic and Olynyk, of course. So Olynyk with Pearl out, Boucher questionable, just could have a ton of minutes to go around for Olynyk up front. So, and he's a good per minute guy. So at 3.3, that's chalk I'm going to eat. And I think pairing Jokic and Olynyk is perfectly fine as long as you're looking elsewhere to get an edge. And that's where someone like Trey Murphy comes into play, just these lower owned guys we talked about. So I don't have an issue with the Jokic Olynyk chalk build. I think it's perfectly fine. I am still getting to a lot of Wemby because he's $2,000 less than Jokic and he's playing Atlanta. So a good spot for him, even with Fox in there. Really not concerned that he's going to lose a ton of usage. He's Wemby after all. I can do it in other ways as well. So I do have a Jokic over Wemby lean, but Wemby is still a great play and someone I'm getting to with good volume. Beyond that, you can play Nas at center, but I don't think you should. Valanciunas is okay. For Washington, still starting with Sarr, more usage in theory without Kuzma, and it's Brooklyn. We saw Şengün play quite well against them last night. Valanciunas' minutes are never secure, and this is kind of max price for him, but even at 6K, I think he has upside. And there really aren't any true centers beyond that I love on this slate. Like Kessler's okay, Khalil Ware's fine. Zach Edey maybe if Brandon Clark is out as a value, but kind of just living with the Jokic, Wemby, Olynyk, Valanciunas quartet.
Yeah, I think good point on the whole Nas thing. If a guy is forward eligible, keep him at forward, especially when you can pay up really big time for a center, and they're obviously only center only. So on a Jokic slate, especially when you have somebody like Kelly, you gotta utilize that with Giannis or Nas or whoever at power forward instead. I think the fact that Wemby is so much cheaper than the Jokic definitely makes him interesting, and he's going to be way less owned, I would imagine. Even with all the value, I just feel like most people are going to go Jokic first. So certainly in GPPs, that's interesting. I don't even mind the idea, like if you're not comfortable with Olynyk, you could pair him with Wemby too. Wemby has one of the best projections of the slate. He's probably not really expensive enough for what he's capable of doing. And the Hawks, like, they don't have Clint Capella. All they have is Okongwu. Like, they don't have much to really stop Wemby on this slate, or tonight rather. So that is certainly compelling. That said, if I'm picking one, it's definitely going to be Jokic. I'm with you on JV and the fact that he's kind of maxed out here. I do like him a lot. I think initially he was in my core, but now I think Kelly is going to overtake him. And I'm not going to give you 2 centers in the core because then I'm just handcuffing you to do what I want to do, and I want to give you options. And also, if you like lock those 2 centers into an optimizer, it's only going to give you possibilities featuring those 2 centers locked. You don't want to do that. But JV looks great. Like, there's nothing wrong with Jonas. The Nets don't really have anybody to stop him, so I like him a lot. If you are comfortable fading either Jokic or Kelly. I really wish Kelly was forward eligible because then you could get all of them in there. Other guys like, Jared Allen, Okongwu, Khalil Ware, I think they're all solid plays. And on a different slate, I might have a lot of interest in them. But when you look at Jokic, Wemby, and all these other guys and the value, I just don't see them as priorities, and I'm not going to really get there. Only other guy I wanted to mention was going to be Mark Williams. So the price is gross, but if you're going to play Giannis or Dame, I think Williams is a pretty interesting comeback just because he projects so well. His price is like basically unclickable at this point at 8.7, but he still projects really well. And he's obviously like giving you massive savings compared to somebody like Jokic or Wemby. So if I'm going to pay up specifically at center, I think he is definitely going to stay in my player pool. And he's going to be a guy nobody is owning. And he has 50 to 60 point ability,
Yeah, that's not the worst thing, but not
a priority. It's more of a GPP play for sure. All right, that is going to do it for our breakdown position by position. Hopefully that helps you out. Before we wrap it up, let's go to Taylor got dipped. Well, mostly I was just going to say that I think you just need to work to get a little bit different if you're going to go with the Jokic Olenek build. And a couple ways to do that. Like right now, like Anthony Edwards looks like an amazing play you could pair with Jokic, and he's not even 15% owned. Taylor mentioned Scotty Barnes. We're both very high on Trey Murphy. And then you got Jaren Jackson Jr. So one thing to keep in mind is only 243 Central. So all of these guys, their projections all look great, and the prices are going to stay the same, but the ownership might change based off of news, whether it be trades or injuries or starting lineups. So just keep all of that in mind as you make your decisions, but most of all, hop into the Discord and join us. We will help you out leading into lock. We'll give you updated core plays. And of course, if you play on FanDuel or you want to play the DraftKings night slate, we are selling reasonably priced packages on our Patreon. So we'll help you out with that as well. Thanks for watching and good luck.